How everybody's feeling after Tony Vitello's press conference, a player profile on hidden gem Parks Harber, and should Hunter Pence be on Tony Vitello's staff? That's all coming up on Locked On Giants.
You are Locked On Giants, your daily San Francisco Giants podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Giants, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every single day. My name is Alan Stiles. On the show, we provide daily episodes Monday through Friday, talking about the San Francisco Giants in a way that combines passion, analytics with the eye test, and a little bit of fun. I'm from the Bay Area. I live in Sacramento now, and I host a show at Sacktown Sports 1140, as well as emceeing Sacramento River Cats games. All in all, I'm lucky enough to cover a team I've been a fan of all my life. Today, we are talking about how everybody is feeling after the Tony Vitello introductory press conference, going a little bit deeper on what the media had to say, as well as fans, just like yourself. We are also bringing back player profiles, and this one is from popular demand. Everyone keeps telling me this is a very fan-focused show today. Everyone keeps telling me about Parks Harber, so I did some research, and I am very, very impressed on what I saw. And last but not least, Hunter Pence. Y'all want him on the staff? So let's discuss. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. So, Tony Vitello, it's been, depending on when you watch this, a day, if you will, since the introductory press conference. And a couple hours after it, initially, everybody, the vibes were high, everything was great. A couple hours after it, we saw more breakdowns and we saw people have some things to say. Still positive, don't get me wrong, just more in-depth versus, hey, that was great. I saw a report that almost all of the Giants staff was there. It just felt like a coming out party, a coming of age party, if you will, and just the Giants doing something. It was historic. So maybe that's part of it too. Obviously, you can't win the World Series or even make the playoffs. You can just make everyone feel as if your team, if you're a fan, or the team you cover, made the right decision. And I feel like for the most part, that's what Tony Vitello did. A lot of people said this is almost more about Buster than Tony. Yesterday was a culmination of the decisions and Buster becoming this person that is really running the Giants organization. It was a bold decision that he made, and how transparent he was and keeping it real, that he knows it's a risk and it was bold. And if it doesn't work out, he might be out of a job. I thought Tim Kawakami of the SF Standard had an interesting note, and this is what he had to say on X. Quote, Tony Vitello was as advertised: prepared, emotional, loquacious, a little lacking in specifics, but that's understandable. The real good stuff, here you go, the real good stuff came from Posey speaking to a few of us afterwards. He knows the risks of this hire, and he's embracing them. So that is kind of what I saw that told me, okay, this was just a very transparent, we're going to take a swing and see what happens. Kawakami goes on to say, today wasn't about winning the presser. It was about not completely blowing it. And Vitello definitely didn't blow it. Everything else will be judged over the next few years. He said something, Tony Vitello did, about the viral clips, right? About him jumping into the stands after they won the College World Series, about him being real fiery. He said that X is not reality, talking about Twitter for those who still call it that. X is not real, right? And you can take he said the same thing about Drew Gilbert. You can take a 30-second clip and people have all these thoughts about you. And honestly, I see some of them in the comments here. Whether that be positive or negative. I'm not just talking about the negative ones, also the positive ones. I love this guy. I'm great, because that's how we digest media nowadays. And that's how we figure out who we like and who we dislike. And it doesn't tell the whole story, obviously. So I thought that was a really good note, just that Tony Vitello was able to realize and was willing to say out loud. The other part of this, as far as how he went about the press conference, I think he says it like that because when you make a risky move, okay, you just want to make people feel comfortable. at the very first moment. If Tony Vitello was super ridiculously hyped and is screaming in the presser and kind of not making a mockery, but just kind of just all over the place, I think we would have all looked around thinking, what is going on? You know what I mean? And he picks and chooses his spots. That's the first thing I've learned from Tony Vitello, because as a lot of parents will say, I know my parents told me, there's a time and a place. This was a time to show. And I think in general, Tony Vitello is saying, look, I'm not always going to be, those are the clips that go viral. That might not even be Tony Vitello 40% of the time, but that's what goes viral. And I thought another piece that was fascinating, Buster Posey had Tony Vitello speak with former Giants managers Dusty Baker and Bruce Bochy. So I told y'all it was a dream come true. I got to walk Dusty Baker out to throw the first pitch out here in Sacramento for the River Cats. Dusty is still, of course, he can't get away from the game, but he is still around the Giants specifically. I'll see him at River Cats games. He does a lot with them. I think he's got a winery, or he's making some type of wine out here in this area. So Dusty is always around. But to have Tony Vitello speak to Dusty Baker and Bruce Bochy, the elder statesmen, right? The elders, the wise men of the Giants, and it went well. Both came back with positive impressions of the club's unconventional managerial candidate, and that wording right there from NBC Sports Bay Area. So he checked all the boxes, and a lot was said about all the vetting that the Giants did. They really didn't want this to sound like they were just shooting from the hip, even if they kind of were, and I don't really mind if they kind of were, but they really wanted it to be clear that this was not a random decision that they made in a hurry or in a rush or in haste. They want everybody to know, no, we went about this the right way. We think that this guy is really going to turn the tide for us, and we like him because of, not because of what he lacks, but we like him, and in part why we like him is because of the experience that he does have, even though that experience isn't necessarily Major League Baseball. So I thought that was really, really fascinating. Just some notes that I've seen from social media. Like I said, Kawakami said basically every single Giants staff employee is here for the Vitello presser, highlighting organization-wide attention to the moment. Kawakami also emphasized that this hire was intentionally bold and risky, just as far as what the streets are saying, or I should say the social media streets. Some people are still worried about it. Right. There's still some cause to pause for certain fans, but I understand it. A MLB or a MLB manager that doesn't have MLB experience, he's a college coach. How will veterans respond? I know if this makes you feel any better, Drew Gilbert, or veterans have already reached out to Tony Vitello. Tony Vitello has reached out to veterans. Drew Gilbert was probably all over this, but yeah, there are things moving as far as the coaches as well, and we're going to talk about that later in the show. So it's a great time to be a Giants fan. The roster, I think the words he said, quote, was pretty good. So some people that I don't know, people didn't agree with that on both sides. So all in all, I think Tony Vitello did his thing, and now we wait and see who he's going to add to his staff and what's next there. What's next for us is we are discussing another hidden gem. Yes, I know everybody loves player profiles. I'll do you one better. Here is a stud that played in the SEC and then in the ACC. Wasn't good enough to get drafted, apparently, and he's letting everyone know about it. A player profile on Parks Harber. Don't move. More Locked On Giants coming up. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement of this sports season. Whether you're following the NFL, NBA, or both, there's no better time to jump in on the action. If you haven't tried it yet, Prize Picks is the simplest way to play. Just pick more or less on at least 2 player stats, and if you get them right, you win. It takes less than 60 seconds to make your lineup. You can play anywhere. PrizePicks operates in California, Texas, and Georgia, everywhere. Okay, you can get this wherever you need it. I've been using PrizePicks during both football Sundays and NBA tip-offs. It keeps every game exciting. I like picking my favorite players like Mahomes and Steph Curry to see how my predictions play out. The new Stacks feature is a game changer. You can now pick more on Steph's points, threes, and assists in the same lineup. Plus, if one of your players leaves the game early with an injury, the injury reboot saves my lineup from a loss. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONMLB for $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. Feels like forever since we have done a player profile, and I'm really excited to do this one. This was a name that I was not familiar with. I'm going to be honest with you. He came over in, stop me if you've heard this before, the Camilo Doval trade. And this is a guy who is a bit older, undrafted, but let's just say he's making up for lost time. A 6'3", freshly turned 24-year-old corner infielder and possibly corner outfielder from Georgia. Let's dive into why Parks Harber has suddenly become one of the most talked about prospects in the Arizona Fall League and what his strong showing means for the San Francisco Giants organization. Like I said, he was undrafted out of North Carolina. Before he was in Chapel Hill, he was with Georgia. He signed with the Giants after being acquired in a trade for Camilo Doval and quickly started making noise, man. He was the only Giants prospect to start opening day for the Scottsdale Scorpions in the 2025 Arizona Fall League. Here are some of his breakout numbers. He slashed 323, 420, 550 with 13 home runs, and he's just been really showing what he can do. In the AFL, Baseball America lists him as among the top 10 hottest prospects thanks to his power showing and his approach at the plate. And again, we've said this about the Giants before, and I'm just double checking if he's even cracked it yet, because I don't think he had. Yeah, he's not even, he is not a top 30 prospect. So this is the first player profile that we've done on someone who is not a top 30 prospect. And that's because, like I said, he is really showing up and showing out here in the Arizona Fall League. And the fact that he is making this known and he's not on these lists, that's what's impressive. But what's most impressive has been his work ethic and how he's translated it into results. Scouts are noting that his bat speed, ability to barrel the ball, and refined approach has really made up for that lost time that we've spoken of. Even in the AFL, he reached base 4 times in one game, showing more than just raw power. He's showing consistency. Here are some of the implications that Harber's emergence offers: a depth boost at the corner infield spot. I know Matt Chapman is he has a no trade clause, but that is a really long contract. You never know what could happen. I'm not trying to kick Matt Chapman out of third base for a guy who's never played double A before. I'm not saying that, but I do think there's something to keep in mind, because Father Time is undefeated. Organizational momentum. His rise reinforces the development narrative that even undrafted or overlooked players can ascend, which speaks to the culture and coaching strength in the system. There's other guys too, outfielders that we've seen that are top 30 prospects. This is becoming a theme with the Giants. Obviously, we got to see what they do once they get to the big leagues, if they get to the big leagues, but this is becoming a theme. There are a couple caveats, of course. He is slightly older for this level, so the Giants would expect him to progress quickly up to this point. The AFL challenge is real, and how he adjusts is more about, can he handle the refined pitching, which he has been able to do so far. I have some quotes from Parks that I think are incredible. And if any of you have kids that are playing, I know I joke with people that I'm still waiting for the call, but if any of you have kids that are playing and maybe are getting a bit overlooked, what he has to say and kind of his work ethic and how he approached it. Honestly, I wish I thought more like this back when I was playing. I was so salty. It was not my thought process, but this is how Parks has decided to approach the game. And I think it's a direct result and a direct reason why he's balling the way he's balling. Here's the first quote. I always have a little chip on my shoulder, but you need to continuously put yourself in good positions. That comes from a lot of hard work and trying to take it day by day and at bat by at bat. As I've gotten older, I've definitely matured in that aspect. He also gets asked about the draft. Quote, I get asked about not getting drafted a lot. I didn't deserve to get drafted if I didn't get drafted. They didn't feel I did enough to get drafted. I didn't put myself in a place to be a no-brainer pick. For me, that was just more motivation to get better. I didn't take it as a slight or anything. I took it as an opportunity to say, hey, these teams didn't think you were good enough. So what can I do to put myself on the map? It was exciting. It was a challenge. I like competition. I got chills. I'm not kidding. I know it's a Friday. It's Halloween. Happy Halloween, by the way. But I just got chills. Like, that is the type of guy that Tony Vitello could take and mold into the exact type of player that he wants. He's already the type of player that Tony Vitello wants. And now you add in this chip on the shoulder. As we were talking to Eric Kane yesterday, a bunch of guys that wanted to turn a program around. That is how you approach not just baseball. That's how you approach life. You don't get a job that you wanted. You don't get an opportunity that you wanted. You can sulk, you can be upset, or you can go out there and prove people wrong. And you know what? I talk about this a lot, the fake hustle, right? Those who watch college baseball, there was a time where one player got hit or walked. I think he got hit. And organically, he sprinted to first base. And when he organically sprinted to first base, everybody thought, oh, that was pretty cool. He got his dugout hyped up. Then it turned into fake hustle. Then it turned into, it was just a fad at the college baseball level where anytime anybody got hit or even walked, they would sprint to first base. And it just didn't hit the same, right? Fake hustle. I can't stand that. This is not fake hustle by Parks Harber. He's not saying, going back to some players that get drafted later. Oh, I got a list of every player that's drafted in front of me. And all that's cool. But some of it is, okay, You don't have to do that, right? You don't want to players that feel like you can't say anybody is better than you. Oh, I could take Michael Jordan right now, right? A random rookie NBA player. All right, man, we understand what you're trying to do, but you don't have to say that because we all know it's not true. So you don't have to say that. This sounds so authentic from Parks Harber, and I am really wishing him the best. We're going to keep an eye on him. I'm sure he's going to pop up on this list fairly quickly. At 24 years old, though, he is going to have to move quickly. I don't know if we see him in Sacramento. I'd love to see him in Sacramento. Sacramento does have just a bunch of random infielders that they're starting to move on from. So I wouldn't be surprised if they see him in Sacramento and can get on up there. I know it says the corner position. It also says corner outfield spot. Obviously, first base is a mess, but Matt Chapman, a couple days off. I know there's Christian Koss, and people are really high on Christian Koss. I think a lot of fans like how he plays. But if this kid keeps balling like this at the level of the Arizona Fall League and beyond, he's going to keep knocking on the door. And I hate to say it, maybe it ends up being on a different squad. I hate to end it like this just for trade opportunities, but either way, he would still be helping out the Giants, even if it happens to be in that capacity. Hopefully not. I love to see him. I love how he sounds. I love how he's going about his business. But either way, he keeps on balling. These are good problems to have. One more segment with you. Let's talk about that fan favorite. You want me to do it? Fine, I'll do it. Should Hunter Pence be a coach to help out Tony Vitello and this new look Giants staff? Don't move. More Locked On Giants coming up. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com, sign up, and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. One more segment with you, and this is about Hunter Pence. A lot of people are talking about him joining the staff. Is that more nostalgia, or would Hunter Pence be a good add? Does Hunter Pence want to be a coach? He's doing his broadcast thing. How does all that look on a coaching staff that could already have a lot going on? So, number one, Hunter Pence, he did help out a little bit as a coach. He didn't do a ton, but in 2023, he rejoined the Giants organization in a coaching and mentor capacity for spring training. So he did do that, right? So he's got a little bit of experience there. He is obviously a beloved figure who embodies the grit, hustle, and clubhouse energy the organization prizes during his playing days with the Giants. Pence was known for his emotional leadership, that famous speech that he gave during the playoffs. That's what he's known for. Memorable motivational speeches and infectious competitive fire. This is who Hunter Pence is. Bringing him back in a coaching role could help bridge the past championship identity with the new culture under the manager, Tony Vitello, especially as the team is leading into a pitching and defense development mantra, but also wants swagger and personality, which Hunter Pence, I mean, I guess he had swagger. It was a very specific Hunter Pence swagger. I think he actually, and I got to give Hunter Pence some credit for this, I hate how it looks. These kids these days that are wearing the baseball pants over their knees, I think it looks terrible. But I got to give Hunter Pence credit because I personally never saw anybody do that. And I think Elliot Ramos does it. There are a lot of guys that do it. I cannot confirm that Hunter Pence started it. Hunter Pence is the first person I saw do it. And he loved to ride around on his scooter back in the day. He just embodies what the San Francisco Giants were at that time, and maybe could continue to be in a different capacity. Maybe, like a revamp of a movie. Now, I know a lot of times the remakes aren't as good, so maybe that's not a good example, but there's some good ones out there. Right? Maybe it's one of the Star Wars. It's another new movie, but it's a prequel. I don't know, but I don't necessarily mind it. Let's talk about what he could bring. Culture and continuity. Pence knows the Giants win at moments and can help mentor younger players on what it takes. Player relatability. That's an obvious one. Having recently been a player himself, he might connect well with the roster's mix of veterans and rising talent. Fan and clubhouse goodwill. His presence alone could boost morale and signal that the franchise values its legacy and identity. Look, I will say this on the broadcast. People have not been happy with Hunter Pence at times because the Giants, besides 2021 making the playoffs, they haven't had a ton to be happy about. And Hunter Pence often comes off as, dare I say, too positive. So I don't know how that would go in a bench coach capacity, though. I don't know that it's your job to be upset. When I played, the assistant coaches, if it was an outfield coach, maybe he would get on you, but Major League clubhouses are so different. Do you need Hunter Pence to be negative, right? Maybe you're just hiring people to do specific things. Hunter Pence, you're hired to be positive. So just be positive. We have guys that are going to be the hard-nosed type of dudes, and Tony Vitello, when he needs to drop the hammer, he'll drop the hammer. But Hunter Pence is there to keep the vibes right, as Tony Vitello said, to vibe it out. Maybe that's why he's there. I don't think he necessarily needs to be that guy because he's not the manager. So I would think about bringing in Hunter Pence. Again, though, you're only going to have a certain amount of spots when it comes to guys. And I know, obviously, Hunter Pence played in major leagues for a very long time, but coaching wise, you're only going to have so many spots for coaches that don't have Major League Baseball experience, because you almost want to front load that since you hired somebody that has no Major League Baseball experience in any capacity. So the question becomes, do you use one of those slots on Hunter Pence, who's kind of a hybrid because obviously he played forever, but doesn't have the coaching experience? We talked about Ron Wotus. We talked about Antoine Richardson. Some of these guys, and I'm throwing these names out here from the Giants perspective and from an internal coaching tree perspective. Tony Vitello is going to bring in guys, not just guys that may be from Tennessee and don't have MLB experience. Tony Vitello is very well known throughout the baseball world. He could be bringing in guys that do have MLB experience and are on current Major League Baseball coaching staffs. So all these guys, I don't see a world where Ron Wotus, Antoine Richardson, and Hunter Pence are all on the coaching staff. I don't see that world. I think it would be a pretty cool world, but I'm just throwing out different names that could pop up throughout this process. And I think Hunter Pence is somebody I would think about. We also don't know if Hunter Pence wants to coach. I mean, I assume he's got a pretty good gig. He got called on to do national stuff for the playoffs, so he's starting to ascend in that world. Do you want to enter that coaching carousel in that coaching tree, because you never really know when your time is going to be called if you actually want to be a manager, because you could be coaching and managing for a long time, and then a college coach should come in and take one of the most sought after positions in the coaching cycle. Oh yeah, that was Tony Vitello. So I'm not against it. Obviously, they got to pick their spots, and maybe Hunter Pence is that spot that they want to pick. I think it would be, again, great for the energy, great for the culture. He can teach a lot of the guys a lot, and I think he would really identify with some of those, obviously the vets, but some of the younger guys as well, because he's got that youth, that youthful energy to him. So a name to bring up. A lot of people wanted me to talk about it. A very fan-focused Friday, if you will, for Locked On Giants. By the way, just real quick, I know some people get a little bit confused. There's certain days where I don't do it. We are Monday through Friday, okay? If there's a random day where I don't do a show, 99% of the time, it's because I took my day. So I took my day earlier this week, everybody, and I knew the press conference was going to be yesterday, so I took it on Wednesday. A couple of people reached out, Alan, where are you at? And I know you need your episodes, but it's not even once a week. We're here Monday through Friday. It's just once a month sometimes. So just want to let y'all know that I'm rocking and rolling with you. We have plenty to talk about here, so I'm very excited. Enjoy your weekend. If you're listening to this on the weekend, I hope you are having a good one. Those pumpkin patches are everywhere. Happy Halloween to you. Be sure to follow me on social media at _Styles Files, Styles with an I. Thank you for listening and watching Locked On Giants. Thank you for listening every single day. For your second listen, find the all-night Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night until a World Series champion is crowned. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. We will talk to you on Monday. Until then, peace.